I never wanted to attend my sister's wedding. To me, it was not a celebration, it was a living reminder of how I had been pushed aside, forgotten, and treated like the shadow in my own family. But my father, as always, had the final word. He said if I didn't attend, he'd cut off my tuition, leaving me stranded and helpless. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I had already graduated. Top of my class. Secretly building a life of my own, earning 6 figures while they thought I was struggling. So when I walked into that wedding, it wasn't as the forgotten daughter. It was as the storm they never saw coming. And I was ready for revenge. Growing up in my family was like living in a play where I was cast as the supporting character. My sister, Claire, was the star. Claire, the golden child. Claire, the beauty. Claire, the one who could do no wrong. From the moment we were little, my parents, especially my father, poured everything into her. Dresses, trips, private lessons, praise, she had it all. And me? I got the leftovers. I remember one Christmas when I was 8 years old. Claire got a brand new bicycle with a pink ribbon tied around it. She squealed, rode it around the yard, and everyone clapped and laughed. My gift? A set of second-hand books that still smelled like the library they came from. Dad had told me, "You like to read anyway, so this is perfect." That was the first time I realized I wasn't seen as a daughter. I was seen as a shadow. In high school, it only got worse. Claire was crowned prom queen. I was the girl who tutored half the class in math but was never invited to the dance. I didn't even bother to ask for a dress. Dad would have told me not to waste his money. Still, I found solace in academics. I buried myself in books, worked harder than anyone else, and I became the invisible achiever. Every A I earned was hidden beneath Claire's sparkling spotlight. By the time college applications rolled around, Dad made it very clear, Claire's wedding will be our family's focus. Don't expect us to stretch thin for your tuition. You'll have to manage. So I managed. I worked late shifts, applied for every scholarship I could find, and eventually got into one of the top universities. But Dad never cared. To him, Claire's engagement to Mark, the wealthy, handsome businessman, was the family's crown jewel. And then came the day of reckoning, Claire's wedding invitation. I told my father I didn't want to go. I didn't want to sit in a room full of people applauding her while ignoring me, again. That's when his voice dropped low and sharp. "If you don't show up," he said, "forget about your tuition. I won't pay a dime more." I looked at him, a strange smile tugging at my lips. Tuition? I had already graduated. Top of my class. In computer science. While they thought I was barely hanging on, I had quietly built an online consultancy, pulling in 6 figures before I even walked across the graduation stage. Dad thought he had cornered me. But what he didn't know was that I had already outgrown his control. So I agreed. Fine. I'll go. But I wasn't going as the invisible daughter. I was going as the woman they underestimated. And I was going to make sure they regretted it. The wedding day arrived like a storm cloud. I stood in front of the mirror, carefully choosing my dress. Not too flashy, but elegant enough to make a statement. A deep navy gown that hugged my curves, paired with simple diamond earrings I bought myself. Walking into the church, I could already hear the whispers. Is that her sister? She's pretty, but not like Claire. Does she even have a job? I kept walking, my heels clicking against the polished floor, each step a reminder that I was no longer the girl they could overlook. When I saw my father, he gave me a curt nod, as if to say, "Good, you showed up." My mother glanced at me briefly, then quickly turned her eyes back to Claire, who was glowing in her designer gown. Claire spotted me and smirked. "Wow, you actually came. Dad must have really threatened you." I smiled sweetly. "Something like that." The ceremony was exactly what I expected: grand, expensive, full of speeches praising Claire and Mark for being the perfect couple. I sat quietly, my hands folded, pretending to blend into the background while secretly planning my move. At the reception, the spotlight was entirely on Claire. Guests lined up to congratulate her. My father basked in the attention, introducing himself as the proud father of the bride. I was introduced, if at all, as Claire's sister. But the real show hadn't started yet. During dinner, Claire decided to humiliate me. She clinked her glass and stood up, microphone in hand. "I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who came to celebrate with us. Especially my little sister, who, despite her busy school schedule, made the time to be here. She's still trying to figure things out, but we're so proud of her for at least making it to college." Laughter rippled through the crowd. My father chuckled, nodding along. I felt my blood boil, but I didn't flinch. "Not yet." Then Mark, the groom, added with a smug grin, "Maybe once she's done with school, she can come work at my company. We're always hiring assistants." The room erupted in laughter. And that was the moment I decided, this wasn't just going to be a quiet revenge. It was going to be unforgettable. After dinner, as the music started and the dance floor filled, I excused myself. I walked to the stage, took the microphone from the DJ, and tapped it gently. The room quieted. "Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry to interrupt, but since my sister was kind enough to mention me in her speech, I thought I'd return the favor." Claire's smile froze. Dad's eyes narrowed. I took a deep breath and let my words cut sharp and clean. "Most of you probably don't know much about me. That's because, in this family, I've always been the shadow. The one overlooked. While Claire was celebrated, I was dismissed. While she was showered with praise, I was told to manage on my own. And I did. In silence. The room shifted uncomfortably. But since Claire mentioned my school schedule, I should clarify. I don't have a school schedule anymore. Because I already graduated. Top of my class. With honors. And while no one here bothered to notice, I built a business from the ground up. Today, I earn 6 figures, a number I guarantee most people in this room would envy. Gasps rippled through the hall. My father's face turned red. "And Mark," I turned to the groom, who was squirming in his chair. "You offered me a job as your assistant. That's funny, considering my company is in direct competition with yours. In fact, last quarter, we secured a contract that your firm lost." To me. The silence was deafening. Claire's mouth fell open. "You're lying." I smiled. "Google my name. Right now." Phones lit up across the room. Whispers followed. And then, confirmation. Articles, LinkedIn profiles, awards, my name, my company, my success. The room erupted, not in laughter this time, but in disbelief. Admiration. Shock. I handed the microphone back and stepped off the stage, my heart pounding. Revenge had never tasted so sweet. The rest of the night was chaos. My father cornered me, his face twisted with rage. "Why didn't you tell us?" he hissed. "Because you never cared," I replied, my voice steady. "And because I wanted this moment. To watch you realize that the daughter you dismissed is the one who surpassed all your expectations." Claire stormed up to me, her eyes blazing. You just had to ruin my wedding, didn't you? No, Claire, I said calmly. You ruined it the moment you tried to humiliate me. I just corrected the narrative. Mark avoided me for the rest of the night, clearly embarrassed that his arrogance had backfired. As I walked out of the hall, guests followed me with their eyes, not with pity this time, but with respect. For once, I wasn't invisible. That night marked the beginning of a new chapter. My father never held power over me again. My tuition? Paid long before he threatened me. My success? Built with my own hands. Claire's marriage, as I later found out, didn't last. Within a year, Mark's company folded, and rumors of infidelity tore them apart. Meanwhile, my business thrived. Did I feel sorry? Not one bit. For years, they had underestimated me, mocked me, ignored me. But in one night, I reclaimed my identity. Not as the shadow, not as the forgotten daughter, but as the woman who rose above it all. And as for revenge? It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about showing them that the daughter they dismissed was the one who had the last laugh. The end.